Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now, today's first story is titled, Me, a 25 female med student with my non-medical boyfriend, 26 male, who won't stop asking questions. Boyfriend was one of those who wanted to go to med school till he took a few weed out pre-med classes. Now he's in a non-science field and constantly asks me incessant questions. He'd be watching television, see some character that has some disorder, ask what causes the disorder, ask about the drugs that treat it, ask about the mechanisms for the drugs, ask why the show isn't giving those drugs and how the drugs that show is giving actually work, and why that's wrong and what would happen in real life if we did that, and on and on. I feel like I'm constantly being pimped. Pimping is when a superior, resident, fellow, attending who's evaluating you asks you medical questions. It's one of the ways clinical medicine has been taught and tested for ages and can at times be extremely stressful. Boyfriend will also come to me with off-the-wall claims. My co-worker told me that zinc prevents all colds and 8 different types of cancer. How come you doctors don't have everyone on zinc? And he won't leave me alone until I look into zinc and give him some reasons that he finds satisfactory. The baseline assumption is always that his non-medical co-worker is correct, and I have to defend why all of us doctors are/aren't doing X, Y, and Z. I've explained that this is not how I want to spend my little time off from the hospital. When I have to look something up to shut him up, he tells me I'm lucky to be in med school and I should be happy that I'm learning things when I look them up to answer him. I feel small. I don't usually feel small and I can't figure out where exactly the problem is here. I know I am lucky to be in med school. I also feel super frustrated and like I'm being pimped in my own home. Am I just being stupidly defensive? Should I just know more things than I do? Does anyone have a good method for dealing with this shit? Now there's one thing to be interested in someone's profession, your partner's profession, and ask them questions that they might be interested in answering, but then there's another, and it sounds like this, the way that the story was worded, that in some way it could be potential jealousy here. I mean, there's every chance that's not going to be the case, but the fact that, everyone has access to Google these days, you could quickly look up these answers himself, and in the situation that you explained, it sounded like he was sort of testing you in a way. Purple says, why can't he look up the answers to his own questions? And OP responds in, if I tell him I don't know, the response is, you're in med school, shouldn't you know this? Shouldn't you want to know this? And I've yet to come up with a satisfactory reason for why I do or don't want to know it. So it ends up being faster to just look it up than to argue. Gonzoli replies to that and says, sure, but being in med school doesn't mean that I'm going to become a walking encyclopedia that can recite facts instantly. Even the best doctors worth their salt know that there are constant advances and new things to discover every day. And I'd rather have the wisdom to acknowledge that I might not know everything than to be arrogant enough to think that I do and possibly put someone's life in danger. Your boyfriend's a dick. That constantly putting you in a position where you have to prove yourself just so he can feel better about not getting into med school. Shut that shit down. Burrell says, also in med school and I hate this. Shouldn't you know this? You are the doctor should be an excuse to legally kill somebody. I've only done 3 rotations, GI, ortho and resp, and my family constantly asks me, oh, what do you think about this weird medical condition that X relative has? And gets all offended when I tell them that I have absolutely no idea what it is. Usually I just don't engage them because the few times I've said, sure, I'll look it up, they come back with some weird specific question and make me feel stupid for not being able to answer it. Whenever I'm at home, I seem to be constantly repeating, I don't know what that is, and see a doctor because I am not one. Med students I know are extremely paranoid about whether they know enough. You have to have a life, and you can't know everything. I don't know is an acceptable answer. If he's interested, he can look it up himself. Now butting in again, and I've never been to med school, I don't truly know what OP in that comment is going through, but I just sort of compare it in some ways, and I don't know if this is a fair comparison. Is like being the family tech person. I was and pretty much still am, and because occasionally I can put a PC together. But it seems to mean like for anything in life, electronic you can fix. TV's broken. Can you come fix my TV? It's like, what? I got a fucking clue how a TV works. And the worst one is always when someone complains that a printer isn't working. You're just like, oh, for fuck's sake. not the bloody printer. Anyway, I'm going off on one. Dragon Hatch says, I had a dynamic like this with an ex. I would sometimes tell him interesting facts or explain something to him in my field, bio, and he just simply couldn't let me be right. He would almost always contradict me like, oh, I don't really think so because of X or Y. X being an old wives' tale and Y being his own shitty mansplaining theory. If I tried to correct him, he wouldn't believe me unless I pulled a citation out of my butt. He could dismiss my opinion in a field out of hand, but for me to dismiss his, I needed peer review. Exhausting, and no matter how many times I was proven right, it didn't make him respect my expertise any more the next time I thought to share it. After watching him interact with some of my same level co-workers, I saw that he would be interested, nod politely, and even genuinely believe them and parrot their opinions. I put 2 and 2 together and realized it was sexism. After we broke up, I saw him doing more overtly sexist things regarding his mother and sister that I wouldn't have to put up with. He knew to hide that side of himself in modern society, though he keeps asking for it. Your boyfriend doesn't respect your opinion. Maybe it's sexism, or maybe it's because he knew you before you became an expert. He doesn't accept that, even though he was weeded out of your program. You could possibly be smarter than him. So OP does kindly come back in to update the post. It says, holy jeepers, that escalated quickly. I've never broken up with anyone before. I've been dumped or parted ways mutually, but I summoned up all my courage and called my boyfriend to meet up. To those of you who warned me to be prepared for gaslighting, you were spot on. Thank you for the warning. I told him I was tired of being pimped at home. Tired of arguing about whether it was appropriate for him to pimp me at home, that I'd spend far too much time fighting him over the issue. I told him, while the questions were annoying as hell, the fact that I'd repeatedly explained to him that it was stressful for me, yet he continually disregarded that, and he tried to shame me into doubting myself was the bigger problem, and the lack of respect for my comfort was a deal breaker. He informed me that, number 1, he knew this was coming because I've always been an intellectual snob, and his family had warned him about me from day 1. 2, he'd been wanting to dump me for months, but he knew I needed his support throughout med school, so he couldn't leave. Because he's a good guy, and he would have felt so bad abandoning me. 3. Everyone in medicine either suffers from narcissism, autism, or OCD, so he's glad he doesn't have to interact with me or any of my friends anymore. 4. Law school is harder than medical school. Lawyers are smarter than doctors, and he will always be needed, but I'll be replaced soon by Watson. 5. He wishes me luck dying alone and becoming one of those sad, lonely old lady doctors who has to resort to banging my residents for sexual relief. My mind is fucking blown. I went home and cried and threw up. What the fuck piece of shit did I fall in love with? I've never seen that side of him. I've seen anger, but not that. I don't know, guys. I'm overwhelmed. I really thought when I posted the original question there'd be more of a debate. Like, expected some people to say, oh, he's just curious and is innocent, and expected to find some people be like, tell this dude to shut the fuck up. I was really blown away by all of you being able to identify and verbalize and validate what I've been feeling so goddamn confusing and shitty over here. Hasn't been the most productive study day, but I'm going to try and get some work done, and at least enjoy the peace and quiet. Holy moly, boyfriend decided to reveal his true self right there and then, didn't he? And it's one of those situations that, you know, is of course is going to be difficult for OP, that they've just broken off a relationship and it's going to take some time to move on. But as they say on Reddit, it's definitely a bullet dodged in that situation. Imagine the future with this guy, him constantly doing that, and well, apparently according to him, he was going to break up anyway. What a knobhead. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story does come with an update as well. The ending isn't 100% conclusive, I'll throw that out there right now, but it sort of gives you an indication of where it's going. It's from Cam Throwaway, who says, my 28 male, best friend 24 female has been staying with me. Found a camera in my bathroom. Thinks I placed it there. Story. So yeah, I know this looks pretty bad. Hell, I 100% get where she's coming from. I'd probably think the same thing, but I, for the life of me, have no idea where it came from. I know it was placed there intentionally. Someone went to a lot of trouble to conceal it, so I'll just rewind the story. I travel a lot for work, like a lot. I'm usually not home 20 plus days of the month. I own a very nice apartment in the prime area of a major city. Since I don't get to enjoy my apartment all that much, a number of my traveling friends and others do apartment swaps. I crash at friends' places depending on where I am. They crash at my place. Out of those 20 plus days I'm not staying at my place, probably 15 days or so the apartment is occupied. The other 5 days are usually empty or maintenance/cleaning is done. I have a pretty good track of people who have stayed at my place, but I honestly don't know how to go about seeing it as the list is well over 90 people over the past few years. This includes family, friends, friends of friends, many of them staying numerous times. Anyways, as is common during travel, sundries and toiletries and other items get left behind, mixed around and used, etc. Either way, I'm home for a week or two for a break, and a friend of mine from rather far away wanted to spend some time together. I offered that she come stay with me to save on costs and also be able to see the city. She's never been. We've known each other for years and are quite close, so she took me up on it. This morning I got up, took a shower, went to work and planned on coming back for lunch with her, then head back to work. When I got home for lunch, she started screaming at me that I'm a pervert and that I should be ashamed of myself, and that she had half a mind to call the cops. Being extremely confused, I asked her what in the fuck she's talking about. I found your little perv cam in the shower. You really went to a lot of effort to hide it. Still not knowing what she was talking about, I reiterated that I had no clue what she was talking about. She got even madder and held up a broken bottle of Axe body wash. I was like, what the fuck is that? She just said it was in your shower, don't deny it. I looked at the bottle and it was indeed among my shampoos, conditioners and other sundries in my shower. I've seen it about a dozen times, never really used it since I hate Axe and use bar soap personally. Figured it was one of the regulars who stayed that used it, so I just left it there. This was extremely well concealed. From what I could tell, it had actual body wash in it, but inside was like super hot glued and a sealed board, plus USB port. She found it because she went to grab body wash and the bottom made a weird sound, and she looked and realized it was there. I can't say I blame her, but she wouldn't let me look at it closely and offered to let me come clean before she destroyed it. I just handed her a hammer and told her to do what she liked, but that I needed to find out who did it, but had no idea how. I went through everything in the bathroom and checked all the other bottles and threw out a ton of bottles and the like. I opened every single vent in the apartment and bedrooms and didn't find anything. She pulled down the smoke detectors and pretty much was glaring me down and checking vents after I checked them, as if I was trying to put on a show to cover myself. I started going and looking up who had stayed in my apartment for the last few years, but honestly don't remember when the bottle appeared. She's been giving me the cold shoulder and I just told her that I'm really sorry but don't want to ruin the rest of her trip. I told her to go and find whatever hotel she wants to stay at and let me know. I'll pay for the cost for her to stay at the hotel. I sent her off an hour ago and had her take the camera with her for her peace of mind. I told her she can keep it. I don't ever want it here again. I don't even know how to apologize or explain or even go about the situation because I feel sick just thinking about it. So I can't even imagine how she feels. I'm extremely angry because I don't even know how to go about finding out who did it. Now my first thoughts is that you need to keep this camera, protect this camera and turn that camera over to the police in whatever form. Tell her to take that camera to the police. Do not destroy it. It seems like that might be the one chance to sort of like prove your innocence in this. And from the sounds of it, it's only that one of OP's friends could have done this. It's absolutely horrifying. Someone you trust doing this to you. And how OP's friend must be feeling at that moment as well. That's terrifying, isn't it? And not just OP's friend. Who else has been staying in this apartment as well and has been caught on this camera? Yeah, there's only one way I can see this is just, telling her, please take that camera to the police. The police need to be involved. And that's pretty much reflection of the comments as well. Everything Garnet says, police and a closed door policy until you get to the bottom of this. Or you can try informing in person each guest you know to have stayed there in the last X months that their privacy may have been violated with this cam and use the opportunity to gauge reactions. OP says, I think I might send out a blast email and see if the person comes clean under the threat of police. As my friend has the camera, I'll ask her if she can turn it over to the police and that if she wants to file a report, and that she should, and I'll provide access to my place if they want to search. Then some people were saying, that's a bad idea to give whoever it is a heads up that you know what they was up to. Igor asks, can't you look at the footage to see how long it's been there? OP says she was hesitant to give me the camera, And even if I'm tech savvy, I 100% understand her not wanting to give it to me to examine. I've been home for a few days and I have no idea how long something like that could run on batteries. Hours, days, weeks. If I could figure that out, I'd narrow down the list of people who could have placed it. At the same time, I really don't want to see the footage since it's literally a who's who of my family and friends, likely showering and private stuff. Freaky says not sure what type it is, but some of those cameras have a Wi-Fi transmitter, so it may not actually have a lot of footage in it. I feel violated myself if it was found in my shower. OP says I'd be surprised if it was a Wi-Fi transmitter. I have a rather high-end Wi-Fi setup in my apartment. It overpowers most 2.4 and 5 gig signals in my apartment. The bathroom itself is stone and tends to kill Wi-Fi signals inside, which makes watching Netflix while on the can quite hard. And my network is locked down. Whenever someone wanted a device added, I had them provide their MAC addresses so I could add it to my Wi-Fi access control remotely. So OP does add a couple of updates to the post, and they said update 1. I called the police non-emergency line and spoke with a few different people. They'll be sending someone out this afternoon to talk with me and my friend. They will see about sending additional people to search the apartment for other devices and take the camera into custody. I'll post an update when I get a chance. Thanks for the sanity check in not warning anyone or letting people know I found it. Update 2. They sent over 2 officers this morning, and after looking at the camera and taking our statements, they asked if I consented to a larger, more invasive search of my apartment. I did, and they sent more people, and I called the building manager. They went through my apartment, and unfortunately it gets worse. They found 2 more cameras. One inside a ceiling speaker in my kitchen and one hard installed in my bookcase, which overlooked my bed. They also found 2 audio recorders installed. One inside a lamp and a much more hardcore one with a transmitter installed inside my desk frame. The desk recorder was dead and out of power. The one in the lamp was still going since it was in line with a light fixture. The really concerning one is the recorder in the bookcase. It had a Wi-Fi capability, but it wasn't connected to my Wi-Fi. It was wired into the electricity directly, not like plugged in, and had a wire antenna running through the wall into the window frame nearby. Someone spent a while installing it. The only good news I have is they know who did it, and I'm off the hook. They're examining the bigger camera and audio recorders to see what they recorded, but the bathroom camera allowed access via USB. They scanned the clips and lo and behold, there was a video of the fucker setting it up and testing it. I don't know what they plan to do next, but I gave them his name, address, and all the details I have. I feel incredibly violated. I've known him for over 10 years and we were pretty close. He's in another state, which makes it much more complicated, but he's due here in a couple of weeks. I'm supposed to sit tight and let the officers know when he's in town. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to keep a straight face talking to him. And there was a question on the end of that post who says, well, yes, it is good news you're off the hook, and hopefully your apartment is clear and clean 100%. I have a hard time not moving out ASAP, no matter how prime a spot. What a huge violation in the one place you're supposed to feel safe. I have to ask, you say the police know the person. Do you know who it is? What now? Best of luck. Opie says, yes, I know who it is. They didn't show us the video while they were looking. I was talking with another officer away from where they were looking at the video. They took a screenshot and a crop of the person's face saying, this person set it up, do you know who it is? I can't really move out. I bought this place a number of years ago, so I own it and it's doing very well. Price was in the market. I know it sounds a bit greedy, but it's just kind of the financial reality of it. And that's where I say it wasn't 100% conclusive, because we didn't find out about when the police did eventually get involved. And of course, I hope they did and they caught this person, and I'm not sure what sort of charge you can get for something like that. And I guess that will vary from state to state and all this kind of thing. But what an absolute terrifying situation. Absolutely unhinged behavior. Extra cameras in their audio devices as well. Had a quick Google and there's lots of different things depending on the state, but one of them, that a little article I saw, it said in Michigan, unauthorized installation or use of a hidden camera is a felony punishable by a $2,000 fine and up to 2 years in prison. Again, don't take that as 100% because I literally don't know, and that was from a very quick Google, so you never know the information that you receive. But I'm sure some of you commenters will have more information on that, so please share it if you do. I'd be very interested to see it. But I can't get over the violation in this, how you must feel living in that house afterwards. You know, there was the one device and then there was multiple other devices found as well. What? I know it's very likely that they probably got all of them, but what if there's a chance there's still one more going on? And I know the guy's likely not watching it anymore, but just having that hidden device in your house, it's got to put you on edge all the time, right? That's really scary. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on this one. And just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today. Listen to a story or two. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in despair, crime everywhere. You're selling false hope cause you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care.